If there's one thing that the year 2020 has taught us, it is the importance of human capital management. There's technology out there that can help you be better at human capital management, and today I want to talk about what those top HCM systems are for organizations today. My name is Eric Kimberling. I'm the CEO of Third Stage Consulting. We're an independent consulting firm that helps clients through their digital and HCM transformations. And HCM has always been an important competency of organizations that value their people, want to manage their people more effectively and efficiently, want to have a clear roadmap to how their careers will advance, want to be able to track benefits and time and attendance and all that stuff that you would expect to see from a human capital management system. But in light of the coronavirus pandemic of 2020, people are placing an even higher premium on their ability to manage their resources, to take care of their employees, to make sure that they're tracking time off and benefits and things of that nature. And also looking at things like succession planning and how can we make sure that we are developing people the way we need to so that they can potentially lead the company in the future, or that we're building the right skills and competencies of our workforce. All those things have always been important, but they're even more important today. And human capital management systems can be a great way to help enable some of those things. And we've seen a lot of clients that have been a bit exposed in their HR departments and their human capital management capabilities because the pandemic caught them off guard and they weren't quite prepared to be able to handle some of the impact that had on their workforce. So today I want to talk about what are those HCM systems that can best enable you to handle future pandemics or just human capital management in general. And these ratings and evaluations of these systems are completely agnostic, they're free of vendor influence, and they're based on our team's experience evaluating and implementing these solutions, as well as just the overall ratings of functionality and flexibility, cost, value, benefits. A number of different quantitative and qualitative criteria went into evaluating these systems and ranking these systems. So without further ado, let's get started. Coming in at number 5 on our list is Kronos Workforce Ready. Many of you may have heard of Kronos because it's been around forever. It's about a 40-year-old company that started off doing time and reporting and attendance reporting and things of that nature, but now they've evolved into a more robust human capital management software offering. Now, Kronos and its product suite are typically used by small to mid-sized organizations. It's fairly simple to use. It's not a super complex type of HCM capability. And not a lot of companies need a ton of complexity in their human capital management, but they simply need something that will help them automate their processes and better track their human capital management. Now, one of the benefits of Kronos Workforce Ready and one of its strengths is that it tends to focus on organizations that are either in government or have heavily regulated types of environments. So that's very important because you want to make sure you're compliant from a workforce and union perspective. So that's one thing you may want to consider as you evaluate Kronos and some of the other systems in the market. Now, one thing to note about Kronos Workforce Ready and Kronos in general is that they recently merged with Ultimate Software. In fact, just a few days before recording this video, they had finalized that merger. And what that means is now that Kronos is part of Ultimate Software and vice versa, it does two things. One, it suggests that it's a bigger, more powerful, and more stable company. The second thing it suggests, though, that's more of a point of risk or more of a question than anything, is what does this mean to the future of Kronos Workforce Ready? Now, I believe that there are two different markets that they're serving, and they tend to have different strengths between those two products. So I think both will coexist, at least for a certain amount of time. But it is something to be aware of as you think about your HCM systems, is what is the future product roadmap of that system, and how confident are you that that technology will be around for the longer term? But in any case, all of these things considered is enough to land Kronos Workforce Ready at number 5 on our list. Coming in at number 4 is SAP SuccessFactors. They've recently rebranded themselves as SuccessFactors HXM Suite, and SAP bought SuccessFactors about 10 years ago. The company had started in the early 2000s as a HCM-focused type of software. So it's a very mature HCM solution. A lot of larger organizations are using it, so it can be very suitable for organizations that have larger, more complex employee bases and workforces. Some of the unique things that put SuccessFactors in our top 5, in addition to be able to support complex organizations or workforces, it also does some other capabilities or functions that not everyone in the top 5 can handle well. For example, workforce planning is something that SuccessFactors does well. So when you think about what is our overall headcount needs, what's our succession planning and things of that nature, SuccessFactors is strong in that area. When it comes to employee engagement and workforce analytics and just tracking data related to the workforce, that's something else that SuccessFactors tends to thrive in. And because the company is owned by SAP, it is also benefiting from the fact that Qualtrics is one of the products that SAP owns. So when it comes to customer engagement and surveys and trying to track employee data, Qualtrics is another tool that can be used in conjunction with SuccessFactors if needed. It also features a learning management system. And learning management, for those of you that don't know, is helping track training and certifications, and if there's internal training and workshops or classes or online courses that you need or want your people to take prior to moving to the next level or prior to taking on certain responsibilities, SuccessFactors has the learning management system capabilities to be able to track that sort of need. So probably the biggest point to consider if you're thinking about whether or not SuccessFactors is right for you or not is if you're a larger, more complex organization, it's probably a better fit than if you're a smaller, less complex organization. And if you're a larger organization that's implementing SAP S/4HANA or one of the other SAP products, SuccessFactors is oftentimes the default HCM offering within that. Doesn't mean you have to implement it if you're implementing S/4HANA, but there is some value in having that integration and having the software come from the same partner. So with all that being said, that's enough to land SAP SuccessFactors at number 4 on our list. Coming in number 3 on our list is UltiPro software. It's owned by Ultimate Software. You may remember me mentioning earlier that Kronos and Ultimate Software merged earlier in 2020. And UltiPro software is a very common system for human capital management that's used by a lot of larger organizations. So Ultimate Software has been around for a long time. Their product offering is very mature. I think the company was founded about 30 years ago, if I remember correctly. And longevity isn't always a sign of success, but that does go to show the sort of competencies that have been built over the years. And during that time, we've seen a lot of larger organizations use the product. It's a pretty robust product. It's a good alternative to SuccessFactors because if you're a large organization and you have complex HCM and HR needs in general, UltiPro can be a good alternative to that, especially if you're not implementing S/4HANA as part of your overall ERP implementation, or if you don't plan to. And a couple other unique factors with UltiPro are that it can handle employee engagement surveys, much like SuccessFactors can that I mentioned before. And it also handles employee document management very well. So if you have a lot of certifications and paperwork and things that need to be signed either for regulatory purposes or for your own internal policy purposes, UltiPro software can be a very robust option to help you manage the employee paperwork side of things and really help transition you from a lot of paper and manual processes to more of a automated type of environment. So with all those things being said, that's enough to land UltiPro at number 3 on our list. Coming in at number 2 on our list is Workday. It's a system that many of you have heard of. It's the newest system that's been around the least amount of time in our top 5 list, but it's grown phenomenally over the first few years of the first decade of its existence. It was built as a cloud solution, so it's got a certain amount of maturity and advanced cloud capabilities if that's important to you. It's not a system that's being migrated from on-premise to the cloud. It was already built in the cloud, which can be appealing to a lot of organizations. Workforce is very common in healthcare, government, hospitals, education. There's certain industry niches that it seems to do really well in. But having said that, we also see some manufacturing and distribution and aerospace and food types of companies use it as well. It's fairly industry agnostic like a lot of our HCM top list is, but those tend to be some of the segments that they are the strongest in and that we tend to see the most commonly. A couple other things to note about Workday. They are an HCM first type of system, but they have in some ways become sort of the Salesforce of the HCM space. For those of you that don't know, Salesforce is a CRM or customer relationship management system that's cloud-based, But the reason I call Workday the Salesforce of HCM is because Salesforce and Workday are both taking a similar strategy in that they're building a whole ecosystem of third-party applications that support their product outside of their core areas of competency. So in the case of Workday, they've built and allowed third-party application developers to start building functionality that is outside the HCM space or supports the core HCM space. So for example, Workday has started to build financial capabilities. That's allowed them to provide more of an ERP type of capability, a back office financial type of capability. So companies that want to lead with HCM but might want to add financials, or they might want to add other competencies later on, will find that the Workday ecosystem is getting bigger, and there's more and more third-party applications and third-party developers that are building systems that can bolt onto the Workday platform. Now, probably the biggest risk and the biggest thing keeping Workday from being at the #1 slot in our list is, first of all, the track record. They have less of a track record than some of the other systems in our top 5. But the biggest thing is that there have been a number of implementation challenges with the company. The company has grown very quickly, and what I think is happening there is that we're having a discrepancy or high variation in the quality of resources and the quality of implementations. We as a company have been asked to clean up a number of Workday implementations. We've been asked to come in and help evaluate replacements for Workday because the Workday implementations didn't go well, and so now they're looking for alternatives to replace Workday. So that is still a minority of the time. A majority are not in that situation, but relative to the number of installations that Workday is seeing, there appears to be a higher number of troubled Workday implementations. That may not all be related to the software. A lot of that is related to the way it's being implemented, but it's something to be very aware of, in that there is a concerning trend in the space. And until that settles down, until we see that Workday's growth isn't getting the best of them, that's going to probably hold them back a bit. But having said all that, it's a very strong product. A lot of companies are very successful with it. That's enough to land Workday at #2 on our list. So coming in at #1 on our list is Oracle HCM. You may know Oracle is more of an ERP type of company or a database company, and yes, Oracle does all that stuff, but they also have a very robust and a very deep human capital management type of competency. Some of the things that are strengths of Oracle HCM are things like, in addition to doing all the basic HCM type of stuff, it also has a lot of flexibility. So the product itself is very flexibility. Oracle as a tool set has more flexibility than a lot of other systems in the market, especially when you look at something like a Workday that's cloud first and was built in the cloud. Oracle tends to have a tool set that allows a bit more flexibility and ability to be nimble and pivot in terms of how you use the software. There's also the advantage of being owned by Oracle. Oracle is a massive company with a lot of R&D dollars, and they're very innovative as a company, and they're investing in new technologies like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, all this other stuff that may or may not be relevant to you now, but it does point to a roadmap for HCM and Oracle in general that suggests that the technology will be at the forefront of technology in the future. Oracle HCM and Oracle in general is very good at analytics too. So if that's something that's of value to you, that you want to be able to use predictive analytics and reporting and have real-time visibility into the health of your workforce and the statistics behind your workforce and what your needs might be in the future, Oracle can be a great solution there. In addition, it also provides full ERP capabilities. So if you are leading with HCM, you have the comfort of knowing that it can also handle financials and supply chain and manufacturing and other aspects of your business, depending on what industry you're in, can handle those capabilities as well. Now, probably the biggest downside risk of implementing Oracle HCM is, first of all, the flexibility of the product can actually be a detriment to some organizations. A lot of companies get caught up in analysis paralysis, or they use the flexibility of the software as an excuse to refuse to change themselves and to improve the business processes that support HR. So flexibility is mostly a good thing, but it can also come with a dark side, and that's something to be aware of as well. The other downside of Oracle HCM is there's some organizations out there that just don't like working with Oracle. And it's hard to explain. There's a cultural aspect of working with Oracle that some companies are fine with, but some organizations we work with just don't like the relationship with Oracle. And there's a lot of reasons that I could create a whole nother video on why that might be. But it is something to be aware of, that Oracle has a very unique culture. They're a unique company to deal with. And while they have a certain number of strengths and there's some great products that they're offering, it's important to be sure you're comfortable with the overall relationship you might have with Oracle. But having said all of that, looking at the pros and cons of all the systems out there, that's enough to land Oracle HCM at number 1 on our list. So those are our top 5 rankings based on general categorizations of different functional criteria, quantitative and qualitative analysis of what we've seen in our experience with evaluating and implementing these different systems. But for you as an organization, you're going to have your own requirements, your own needs that are going to be unique to you. So it's important to make sure that you consider those things as you evaluate your potential systems. I also encourage you, if you're interested in learning more, download our 2020 HCM and ERP report. I've included a link below, and that'll provide you some more information on what it takes to be successful in an ERP or HCM implementation, some of the things you should be aware of. I've included a link, so I encourage you to download that. I also encourage you to please like this channel and provide any comments you have below. If there are systems here that you have experience with, you'd like to share some feedback, or you disagree with any of my analysis, I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd also love to hear your feedback on any one that didn't make the top 5 list that you feel like should have. Love to hear your opinions on that as well. So I hope you found this information useful and I hope you have a great day.